Hey, welcome back to the Infos Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And Darryl, this episode 452, John saves, Vic kills.
Pretty good, I must say.
I was trying to think of something witty for the title, and I was like, wait, John is Superboy now, and Vic might be Victor's ass. I don't think he is, but he definitely killed the shit out of Squirrel. So, it made sense. And
nobody cared about Squirrel.
No, nobody cared about Squirrel. And the subtitle is Once a Bizzaro Superman, Always a Bizzaro Superman.
Yes.
So, all right. Welcome to the show, Darryl. How's your week been?
It's Tuesday.
You know what that means.
It's the hump day. Hump day.
Yeah, I'm a little loopy because I haven't eaten in 2 days. So, and I got another day to go. I actually have less than a day to go. I have 23 hours and 36 minutes till I can eat again.
Probably 35 minutes and some odd seconds. So.
Well, it says, yeah, I mean, whatever. It's 8:24. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm actually hyper focused because of it. So you'll notice the show notes are a little more in depth than usual this week. But yeah, how's your week been? I watched Trap the other night on Max, and I really liked it.
So speaking of, we watched that Max movie, Caddo Lake.
Yeah,
which I thought I actually liked that. And we're on episode 5 of 6 that are released of Teacup on Peacock.
Cool. I started watching Hysteria.
Is very interesting. Oh, you told me about that one.
Yeah.
That's one I'm going to have to check out the trailer.
And we started watching Silo.
Because I know you told me about what it was, but
it was pretty interesting.
I need to finish season 1.
Yeah, I just started, so I'm on episode 2. But I liked it. Anyway,
I got to episode 5 or 6.
Okay, cool.
When it first came
I think
out,
season 2 is coming out soon.
Yes, it is.
But Cobra Kai comes out in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
I was about to say, yeah.
November 15th.
18th or
the 15th.
15th.
Yep, I'm off that day. Okay. So instead of planning for the wedding and doing stuff, I'm going to watch the 6 episodes of Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I don't even know how many there are going to be.
I don't know. I think it's 6. I think each one is 6 episodes. So for 18 total for 3 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. That's
because then part 3 is in May or April or something, allegedly. Anyway, do you want to get into the Penguin?
Yes.
What's Penguin in Spanish?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Penguin.
Yeah. El Penguin. Anyway, yeah. So this is episode 6 of the Penguin, and it's coming to an end, and I think this was the weakest episode so far.
I agree. It was,
and not that it was bad. I want to put that
preference
on there.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, and when I was taking notes in my little TV show review logbook, I noticed that I had there wasn't storyline. It was more scenes that I really liked instead of the through line or of the episode, which it's usually both with this show. It's still good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's just what we've seen the first 5 episodes. This one didn't grab me as much as the previous 5.
Right.
But like you said, it's still a solid, well done episode. It's just not where, and that you got to expect that, everything's not going to be Mission Impossible where 3 movies in a row, they just got better and better.
Right.
You're usually not going to have that with any show or franchise. So for what it was solid. But it's just the weakest. And I know it's funny, the weakest. And when you hear our ratings, you're going to think, well, I thought you said this was weak. comparatively speaking.
Right. I
But
mean, yeah,
it
compared to what's been happening. I did the thing I liked. Like kind of in my, so my notes are the breakdown. Like I put all my notes as the breakdown. That's what I did this week in the last few weeks. I thought the Gold Summit was interesting. It's always interesting when like mobsters get together and they don't just immediately kill each other. I always find like there's a bit of suspension of disbelief going on there. Vic, I love Vic in this episode. He's becoming Vic the boy is becoming Vic the man. And did you notice when he was on the motorcycle, he was kind of in a penguin getup?
No, I did not
So
notice
the
that.
helmet came to like kind of a point at the nose, like a penguin beak, and then he had like the fuzzy coat on, so he looked like a penguin. I thought that was really cool.
Ah, that's funny.
So it was like oh, all right. So like this is the start of like the umbrella having penguin with the with all the minions. And I really like the end of the episode because I'm really excited to see what happens next week.
Oh yeah. And going back a little bit,
Yeah.
like one of the things, just going back to a couple of the things I did like, because yeah, I really like that end, that little dangling,
Mm-hmm.
just that cliffhanger. It's like, oh,
It was like
what's going on here?
a hanging chat or a dangling participle. It's just
Yeah.
there to
Well,
like be picked up.
the way they filmed it,
Mm-hmm.
how if you see when Vic was dancing with
Oh yeah.
Francis, the camera didn't pan back, just pan back. It panned back and down, and that's where it was like, okay, they're going to show something. They have to. So that was a nice, I've liked the camera work and the
Yeah. Oh
cinematography,
yeah.
overall just for this show. But a couple of the things I really liked is the start of it sounded like an overview of, or not overview. The voiceover sounded like it was they were talking Grand Theft Auto, where he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about who has the power, and that was a through line through this is like talking about is, and again, that's been the through line. One of the through lines for the entire season is getting that power.
Mm-hmm.
What's it take to get that power? What are you willing to do to get the power? But Oz had a couple great lines in here where he talks about who has the power,
Mm-hmm.
and then he mentions, which I find this is an interesting parallel, when he tells Vic, he was like, you know why these guys are down for us is because we pay them. It's like being the guy in the neighborhood that takes care of people, which is exactly what Sophia did with
Her
when
team.
she,
Yeah.
nicked the Falcone name and
Yeah.
went with Gigante.
Yep.
And then the last line was where he's like, better to work with those we hate than to be under those that don't know our names.
Right. Right.
I really like that one too.
Yeah. I mean,
Where again,
the writing for Oz is so good, right? He's like one part of that is Colin Farrell, but they're giving him such good material to work with.
absolutely.
It's just like, again, I'm gonna say like let's get him off all the words. And by the way, the guy's name isn't Squirrel, it's Squid.
Squid, yeah.
What's Squirrel?
I don't know why.
What's Squirrel from? Oh, Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. Right? No.
Yeah. The squirrel. I don't know
It's
why
from
I was
something. I
thinking
don't know.
squirrel too. Yeah.
But I was thinking squirrel for some reason, and I'm looking through my notes. It's squid. Yeah, no, I think it was really interesting with Squid because they show Oz paying everybody off, and then Victor tries to pay Squid off to keep him happy, and Squid's like, yeah, no, like there's this Oz guy going on. Why don't we just go and or why don't I just tell everybody what's happening? And that's when we see the Vic with the gun when he comes back from the money run, and it's like literally Chekhov's gun, right? You know it's going to get used later on, and Vic makes his first kill, and when Squid is like, "Who are you? I'm the man around here. You don't pay me. I'm a boss," and Vic kills him, and then he goes back and he's talking to Oz about it later on in the episode, and it was like Oz leans in and he just whispers, "It gets easier," and I was like, "Holy shit!" That it was so powerful because the color kind of drained from Vic's face a little bit because he doesn't want it to get easier.
Yeah. But again, he made that choice 2 episodes ago to be
Right.
in that life when he came back for Oz.
Right.
He made that choice. So now and he gets a little bit of sunshine where he has that moment at the end with Francis and they're dancing before Sophia comes in and probably wrecks their day. I don't think she Jason Todd's him, but
No, she's gonna Jason Todd Vic's mom, Oz's mom.
she's gonna do a Negan.
I think she's gonna do the hangman thing. She's gonna hang her. So she's gonna beat Vic up and then hang her. So
I'm very interested in how they're going to wrap this up.
yeah,
And
with
what
2
comes
episodes
after.
to go. So
Yeah, because
yeah,
I'm very curious to see where we go from here.
yeah,
Because again, I really like the spots in here. The moment that moment that Oz had with his mom when he comes home and she's like in the freezing tub. That was powerful.
save me,
Yeah.
save me.
And that, even Sophia had a good moment as well. But
I thought
it was
the Maroney Sophia moment in the kitchen was interesting, right? It was he was in there cooking and she's like, "Oh, I didn't think you were a cook," and he's not cooking Italian food; he's cooking Lebanese food,
yes.
which was cool. It was like, okay, like you have to remember his family, and he turned the Maronis into more of a Persian mafia than an Italian mafia. I don't know. I kind of liked it, and I was afraid they were going to try and take it somewhere romantic, and they didn't. And I think that's the big thing about this show for me. They've been having that restraint of not doing like the weird things. Like Lauren LaFranc has like really been doing a very good job like running this show. The last 2 episodes directed by Helen Shaver. This one was a guy named Kevin Bray, written by Nick Town. And it was just, when we say this is the weakest one of the season, or for us, like, I'll just like do this real quick. So out of 5, it never gets easier Vicks. Like I gave this a 4.31. This is still a solid episode. This is better than most anything you're going to watch on TV right now.
Yes.
And, the only issue I have with it is like, it kind of felt like there was a little bit of wheel spinning that went on with 3 episodes to go when this one started.
And that's the thing where when you have a show with 8 episodes or 10 episodes, you don't have you really shouldn't have any what we call fillers and again, not to say this is a filler, but there was a few moments where it felt like things were just running in place with this episode. Now they did move through it.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful. Yeah, right. And that's fine. It's just that when you have 8 episodes, and I think they've done this a good job of this. It's not like Ahsoka, for example, where we talked about Ahsoka, where it felt like it was just really. Like,
there's a total of 1.5 good episodes in the 8 episodes of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So
I liked it because I gave it a 4.25.
Yeah.
And again, good episode.
Right.
It's just as far as what we've gotten sent, like I could tell that I wasn't as engaged fully from start to finish.
Yeah. I kept
this
looking
one
at the
as
time.
I was the other ones.
I kept looking at the time
So
for how long was left.
Right.
Because part of it was like, I can't believe there's this little time left in the episode. When is like, when are we going to move it along? And it was moving. That's the thing. It was just, but you're right. It wasn't as engaging as the last few, especially the last 2.
Right.
So I don't know. I do really like the way they're looking at like the idea of power with Oz and his ambition to, grow his new Bliss business. And it's just, with all the other Batman stuff, we've seen kind of like, we saw Poison Ivy get made in Batman, Batman and Robin. we see Mr. Freeze kind of get made, but like, or no, we don't. But like we've seen villains like made, like in the '89 Batman, we see Joker get made, but like what we're seeing here is the maturation of one of these criminals to become a criminal mastermind, to become like a shot caller, the head guy, and it's been really fun to watch Vic, not Vic, sorry, we keep getting them mixed up with us. Watching Oz like go through all these steps while he's still trying to like kind of hold on to like some of his, like, not to be a total piece of shit, but he is a total piece of shit. And I think in the next 2 episodes, we're going to find he's going to have to lean into that.
No, and again, everybody involved is. Which is, it's funny. I was going to say this after the show, but it's funny because when you watch their inside the episodes, which again I love those for all the shows.
It's
they
the
do
best
that
thing
with.
HBO does.
Love them.
That's why it's not TV. It's HBO.
It's incredible. But it's funny because Bray, the director, mentions that about Oz as far as being such a terrible person.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of forget, and then he has a moment with his mom or whatnot. But I don't. This is again. It's just funny that they say that about Oz, which again, it's true. It's Sal's the same way. Like they're garbage people.
Yeah,
but. I don't know if they've said like it just in these behind the scenes things. That's all I'm talking about. So nothing else, no writing or anything like that. But I don't know if they've ever mentioned that about Sophia, because she didn't start that way. Don't get me wrong.
right.
But when you gas your whole family, even if your family is a bunch of criminals, you're a bad person.
So, are you though?
Yeah, you are. You are.
But by whose account?
For the reason, I'll say it for this. For the reason she did it, yeah. It's all about what is your reasoning for doing something,
right.
You know? Well, I mean, sometimes, let's sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I like this show, even though I usually like a show, and we'll talk about this when we talk about Supes and Lolo. With a clear-cut hero in the sense of has morals, and not just morals and a code, because bad guys can absolutely have codes too. That's actually, I find bad guys that have a code, and I've mentioned John Marcone from the Dresden Files series, right. Where I find those are the most interesting bad guys when they have a code. Where, like for example, Marcone, they mentioned guys that that his children are never harmed. And guys that have gone past that always disappear. He disappears them.
Right.
So like I think it's really cool when you have a criminal who's objectively a bad person, but they have a certain type of set of morals. And with Oz, it's more of his love for his mom and everything he tries to do for her.
Right.
That somewhat humanizes him.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. There's no heroes in this show, but they're not trying to make us think anyone's a hero. They're not like glorifying what the bad guy is doing.
It is what it is. It is what it is. And I just said that just because they mentioned it, overtly in the behind the scenes thing, which again, it is true. I just thought that was funny, and then you said it, and that's why I connected the two.
Yeah, I don't. One question I have about the show is, where is the Batman in all of this? Like, we haven't heard about him since the first episode.
Was it? I was about to say the first.
It was the first episode when they talked about him, and I'm really interested, like, because we don't have a real clear sense of the time of the passage of time from the show. It seems like he went from having the 2 mushrooms left, or 2 buckets left at the end of the last episode, to now they're like up and running with a full blown, drug empire, Heisenberg style. So I'm curious as how much time's passed and how, what is the Batman doing with all of this, and will we see him again? I think we're going to see him at the end of the series.
It's almost one of those things where he's not necessary for the full
Sure.
series, but at the same time, if you want to connect this show with what you're doing with the Batman,
Hmm.
it's almost like a no-brainer that you have to have him in there. It's in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah,
other than
yeah.
just a casual mention.
Yeah, he's just got to kind of show up a little bit. It doesn't have to be a full blown like fight scene or anything like that. But like,
No, it
seeing
doesn't need that.
him is interesting. And honestly, like if they could get Paul Dano to show up and like maybe Oz visits the Riddler would be kind of cool. But I don't know. I mean, like we'll see. I won't be disappointed if there's no Batman in it. I just think it's gonna happen.
I'm not sure, but I like you, I wouldn't be disappointed. I think it would be something kind of cool to do because again, you're wanting to connect this with the movies that you're doing. What better way to do that than who the protagonist is in the movies?
Right. Right.
Show up some way.
Yep. I don't know. I also think that Matt Reeves hates this IP address so much, or IP address, this IP so much that he would definitely not do that. So or not allow it to happen. But we'll see. Anyway.
So Matt Reeves or Ruin Johnson for you? Which one's
Oh, I'll take
or
Matt
JJ Jar
Reeves.
Jar Abrams?
I would take Matt Reeves over. I don't know. I'd probably take Jar Jar, just because The Force Awakens was
Because
at
the
least
Star, I think,
entertaining, and the Star Trek movie, the
and
first one was good, and Regarding Henry is like a classic.
dude, don't forget that Cloverfield.
I'm not familiar. Is that somehow tied to 10 Cloverfield Lane? I'm not familiar with that Cloverfield movie.
So that wasn't the movie that you had to run out of, and you were cursing his name.
Oh, I 100% got sick watching that movie.
I know.
And I've never ever had that happen before or since. And he definitely deserves to be kicked in the taint for that one. Anyway, it should have been the Godzilla for a whole new generation. It should have kicked off because the monster was amazing. The monster's powers were cool as shit. It was, yeah. Never mind. Don't get me started on this.
No.
All right, you ready to talk Supes and Low?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to let's just do the ratings at the top, so we can really kind of talk about, because again, this is not a bad episode, but so out of 10, Doomsday with a Heart of Gold, what do you give this one?
365.
3.65. I went with a 4.10. Both out of 5.
Did you say out of 10 Doomsdays?
No, I said out of 5. I might have said out of 10, but it's written down 5.
Yeah.
So,
That's I got confused for a second.
so out of 5 Doomsdays with Heart of Gold, you give it a 3.65, and I give it a 4.10. Everything with Jonathan's girlfriend, whose name just escaped me, Claudia,
I don't know.
who was visiting from college.
Yeah.
Like that they didn't need that through line. They don't need John like juggling a secret identity, especially because like 25 people in Smallville know that Clark is Superman now.
Yeah, you already had another person say, "Hey,
Yeah.
it's sad what happened to your dad."
Yeah.
You
I'm
know?
sorry that you had to see that, which was a cool scene.
Yeah, I actually like that scene.
I thought that
It's
it
just
was really interesting.
yeah. And on top of that, what is her name? No, not Clarissa.
Hold on, I'm looking at it.
I don't know.
It's not Sophia. Oh crap. I don't know. Here, well, I'll ask ChatGPT. Anyway,
So, but again, that you're right. You're absolutely right. That that was unnecessary. I wasn't really a fan of the Jonathan thing and the way that
Candace. Her
I
name's
know
Candace.
Candace. Okay, Candace. Look, I know that Jordan wanted to take time off from superhero saving and stuff, but dude, you can't take your mom to fly her somewhere so
Right.
John can meet his girlfriend.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
That
It just made
that
no sense.
really annoyed me.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. And the one thing that I mean, again, this is just me. Michael Cutlass has done a very good job, an excellent job. Don't get me wrong, in what he's being asked to deliver. His lines, his delivery, just his whole like persona
Yeah.
is great. I just don't like the Lex that we've been getting, and the flashback we get with him and the breakup and the divorce with his wife.
The flashback we get with the ridiculous wig.
That is awful, dude.
It's
That
so
is
bad.
so bad.
It's like the Arrowverse will go down because this is the last Arrowverse show, right? It will go down
Right.
with a study in horrible wigs because Stephen Amell, every wig he ever wore,
Oh yeah.
looked like a raccoon was on his head.
It's like they put it on last minute. Like, dude, let's put this on right now. We got to film in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's
You can't have had a shaved head your whole life.
yeah. And the whole guy that grew up in the bad part of town, and he's the owner of LexCorp, and he's just wearing jeans and this biker jacket. It doesn't work for me. Again, some people would like it, and again, I can differentiate what doesn't work for me versus what the actor is doing. And I think what he's doing it well. It's just I don't like the direction he's been given to go with this version of Lex Luthor.
I like his Lex Luthor, the way he's portraying it. But I agree with you. Like at first I thought it was cool. He was this like hardened, he's been in prison for 15 years and he's getting out. But that's all he is. He's not the anti-life equation guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, it's I understand sometimes expectations that we might have for certain characters, it can color your enjoyment of things. But again, that's the more interesting version of Lex to me is the one we're not getting.
Right.
And
we just need to see the other side of it.
And I wasn't a fan. What was that?
I said we just need to see that other side of him as well as what we're getting.
Right.
Because I think right now he seems kind of like a caricature, and seeing like what you're asking for would fill out the rest of the character. Because like what's his name? The guy from 3.5 Men who was Lex Luthor on Supergirl. He was like
John Cryer.
John Cryer. He was a caricature of Lex Luthor. He was like Mixopedaleic.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor. Like it was like he was a clown more than anything else. And like I half expected him to like, do that little like jump high knee like as he like ran away like Cesar Romero used to do as the Joker in the Batman TV show. You all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
But and again, as we mentioned earlier, this was for me far and away the least interesting episode.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it had some good moments. It had the moment with Clark and Elizabeth talking outside about what is this? You lost something too, and if you don't at least try to get it back, I think you'll regret it.
Yeah,
and that works. I mean, just the earnestness of Tyler Hoechlin when he's that Clark dad and everything, and I just love what we get with him.
Right.
Again, he's a Superman that we're not familiar with, but at the same time, it's a Superman we didn't know we needed.
He's my favorite Superman ever.
He is. Again.
And we would be remiss if we did not point out that Elizabeth Henstridge is playing Elizabeth Luthor, who also directed the episode.
Oh, she directed it?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It. She directed, which one did she do last year? She did episode 2 last year, Uncontrollable Forces. She also did Anti-Hero in season 2.
Wow, I didn't
realize Amy Jo Johnson did an episode in season 2. Never mind. I'm trying to see if she did season 1. She didn't do anything in season 1, just season 2, 3, and 4.
I have a big gripe with this episode, and it wasn't this episode; it's what this episode does with something that's already happened. Apparently, They have zero evidence that Lex Luthor had Doomsday kill General Lane, despite him being on FaceTime on speakerphone with how many witnesses?
yeah, several.
Are you kidding me? And again, this show rarely does things where you're just like you're shaking your head like, come on, this is come on. Because again, I think I mentioned we talked about it with episode 3, where it's like, I mean, maybe in passing, like you're talking with this guy who you're going to have killed on FaceTime.
Right.
Are you really FaceTiming this guy?
Is this what you really
Come on.
want? Is this what you really want to do?
It's like, so that was, oh, you should have, I rolled my eyes so hard at that. I actually paused it and explained it to Jess because she wasn't watching it. And I explained the situation and what happened. And even she was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
right.
with that being said, again, that was very disappointing for me. But the other thing I really liked, and it's part of what you said, Doomsday with Hearts of Golds, is the conversation with Lois and Doomsday.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I almost thought he was going to rip his own heart out and give it to her.
That would have been a little bit Jack Skellington type thing. But it's funny because I don't think I said this, but I saw it, but I wasn't sure, and thought I was seeing things, or you kind of like making up my own story. Is before he kills her dad, when he comes down at the DOD, when he looks at her, I thought I saw that look of real recognition in his eyes when he saw Lois, and I thought something was gonna happen between them, before the whole General Lane walked out and everything. But I'm so interested to see what happens next with Doomsday.
Oh yeah, or where he went.
Did he go like to Sakaar or whatever, and he's going to hang out with the Hulk?
He's hanging out with no, he went to find Kandor, the bottle city of Kandor. Because there's not enough Kryptonians in this show, like every other Superman show. Or he went to find Tauro. We need Tauro back. We definitely
we need Tauro back. Seriously.
Like before my silver Forester was named Kal-El, and the black one is named Tauro. So, I mean, we definitely that's a character we definitely need back, like quickly.
Yeah.
So, not that
I haven't gotten to
Adam Rain.
I just really liked him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I really liked him as a character.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Anyway, yeah, so there wasn't like a ton of like action in this episode either because it was so filled with flashbacks. It felt like an episode of Arrow.
It really did. And that took away from the way they did the flashbacks. Because again, I usually, this season they've done a lot of flashbacks, but the way they've used them has strengthened the episode for me. This felt like it dragged it down or slowed it down too much. And it never, it's like that movie with, it's like Suicide Squad, the original Suicide Squad movie versus Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
They added all that music to make it like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it felt disjointed. Even though the music was great, it didn't fit. Captain Marvel was the same way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Captain Marvel was the same
wrong
way
because she was listening to music and wearing shirts of bands that were not popular when she was in space, or until after she went to space.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy married music in the scene and the emotion in the scene perfectly. The first four episodes this season, or the first 4 episodes of this season, did a great job of marrying the through line and the story arcs for the episode with the flashbacks and their character development in that episode. Mm-hmm. This, for me, did not do that, and that's why I was so disappointed in this. I was disappointed in this episode.
Really?
Again, when we talk about,
I still wasn't disappointed in it though.
Yeah, I was, and again, it's. I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't bad. It's just what we've gotten this season, and the stupid little grins and smiles I've had on my face every episode
Yeah.
with stuff happening. It really wasn't there for this one.
Yeah.
Again, it's still a
Fair.
365,
Yeah.
which is not bad.
No.
It's not bad. It's just from what we've gotten, just like the Penguin. But obviously, I thought the Penguin was a more superior production. But
the other thing too is this is the midpoint. There's 5 episodes left after this, and
right,
they had to make a little bit of a tonal shift. They had to get Doomsday off the board somehow, because having him like looming the entire time, it's really hard to tell that story. So part of this episode was to get him off the board, but not kill him. And I think they succeeded in that really well. And Elizabeth Tulloch like had another great performance, like as Lois.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Don't hurt my family. It was good. I like, it sounds like I'm making fun of her, but I'm not. It's just my voice. Anyway. But yeah, it was like after last week with like the wedding and the celebration, like we needed to have a little bit of a down note,
a reset,
and we needed more Lex than we got last week, because really we didn't get much, and I think they succeeded in that. I just think, much like the Penguin, this one didn't hold my attention like the previous 4 did.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, with these 2 shows, talk about being like rich with just, or not even rich, but us being spoiled, where we have a show that's 365, or for me it's 365, and you is just over a 4, and another one that's 4.25 or whatever. And we're talking about these 2 being our least favorite episodes of the season after 5 and 6 weeks.
Right.
With the different.
Oh yeah.
That says a lot about how good these 2 shows have been.
Absolutely. 100%.
So I will take a downturn, or not even a downturn, but I will take a mini speed bump, because it's not even a full speed bump for me. It's just a little bit of a little dip in the road.
It's a little pause.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's fine, because I have faith in these creators, from what they've given us, that what we've got might not have been to my my high standards that they've given. But again, if I put these 2 next to most of the slop we have on TV today,
right.
It's.
I look at this as that little Barry Sanders slide step he took before he went in the other direction at full speed. Right? It's like, okay,
that's funny,
because we're like, in both of these shows, we're in the home stretch.
Yes.
For Supes and Lolo, it's the home stretch of the second half of the final season. For the Penguin, it's the last 2 episodes of a mini series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both have adjudicated themselves well, with good storytelling, great acting, great just heartfelt moments throughout both shows. And I mean, right now, if we were to do, I assume both of these shows are going to be on our list at the end of the year, and the top couple spots.
Yeah.
So unless something drastic happens in the next few episodes, but
unless they fall off the veritable cliff, I don't. I'd be hard pressed to see how show like they're going to be 3, because I don't see how these 2 aren't going to be on there. I'll just put it that way.
Unless like Chrissy and Kyle come back and the baby is now Superman. It was all a dream for Clark. They're the real mom, Pa Kent. Anyway.
Oh God.
Yeah, right. What an Elseworlds. Cool.
Oh man.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to add about the show?
No. Again, it's just one of those things that I'm so thankful that we have 2 shows running concurrently right now for at least the next couple of weeks, where the weakest episodes of the season are still pretty solid.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely. So cool.
I wish more shows were like that.
Yes. All right. One last note before we go. Do you remember the movie PCU? PCU with Jeremy Piven and Chris Young, the boy Chris Young, and Megan Ward and David Spade.
I do not.
And Jon Favreau, very young, very fat Jon Favreau. So I bought it on DVD because it doesn't stream anywhere because of the soundtrack. And I'm gonna share that your PlayStation has the optical drive, right?
Yes.
Dude, I need to share this movie was made in 1994 and it is more relevant today than it was in 1994.
What made you think about that?
Well, I've been looking for it on streaming for a while.
Okay.
But
okay.
I just want to talk about it real quick before we go. I forgot to talk about it at the beginning. But basically, it's this campus where it's all like there's the womenist group, there's the burnouts, there's the vegetarians, there's the Black Power group, there's the it's called Balls and Shaft. It's the white like waspy guys, and everyone's always protesting. They protest everything. And then there's the pit, which is like the normal people. And Jessica Walters is from Arrested Development is the dean of the university or chancellor or whatever. But there's this scene that happens where she goes, well, I'm trying to decide if we need bisexual Asian studies or get rid of the math team or the hockey team. I'm leaning towards the hockey team, but like she's still not like sure she's going to keep math, but it's like so spot on. And it was written by Zach Lee or not. Hold on. Not Zach Lee. Hold on. But it's just one of these things. It was, Zach Penn. Sorry. You might recognize Zach Penn. He wrote he was writer for Free Guy, Ready Player One, The Avengers in 2012, The Incredible Hulk, X-Men Last Stand, Elektra, X2, Reign of Fire, which is he's a uncredited writer,
Reign of Fire.
That's a highly underrated movie. And he was uncredited for the first Men in Black, and he did the story for Last Action Hero before PCU. So it's very well written, right? But it's just like with everything with the election coming up and all that stuff, and I don't really want to get into that, but it's just I'm sitting there watching, and I was like, holy shit, Zach Penn was a seer. Zach Penn just saw all of this stuff that's going to be going on college campuses. But
in 94.
So it's if you guys haven't seen it, like please go track it down. It's well worth it. I spent like $30 on the DVD. So anyway, good times. All right. Well, on that note, do you have anything else you want to add?
I do not.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with more Penguin and Supes and Lolo, and probably more stuff to talk about because it's getting to be that time of year. Maybe I could coerce Darryl into going to see Venom: The Last Dance, and we could talk about that.
No, we're going to try to do that. Cool. Because we just watched the first two.
Nice.
Over the last 5 days.
I'm gonna try and go this weekend. So
we'll try to do that
as
well.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Later.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Infamous Podcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.